You've been told it's something to be ashamed of, something that weakens you, something that's only for younger men. But what if I told you that masturbating, yes, even frequently, even daily, might be one of the most powerful tools you have to protect your prostate, sharpen your mind, and even extend your vitality well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond? I'm Dr. James. I've spent over 30 years helping men navigate the second half of life, especially when it comes to intimacy, energy, and the quiet fears we rarely talk about. I've treated thousands of men struggling with prostate issues, poor circulation, and that frustrating feeling of slowing down. And one thing keeps coming up again and again. Nobody's ever told them the truth about their own body. Because here's what science is finally starting to reveal. Ejaculation isn't just about pleasure, it's a physiological process with powerful health consequences. But how often is too often? Does the 21 times a month prostate study actually hold up, or is it all just hype? In this video, you'll discover the real impact of regular ejaculation on your prostate, your mood, your hormones, and your blood flow. We'll bust some long-standing myths, explore groundbreaking research, and most importantly, I'll show you how to listen to your body and reclaim control over your health. And in just a moment, I'll reveal exactly what happens to your prostate when you get this rhythm right, and what to avoid if you want to stay strong, sharp, and sexually alive. Before we dive in, if you're a man over 60 who cares about your prostate, your energy, and your long-term vitality, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I share real science-backed advice tailored just for you. And hey, if you find this topic helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0, so I know how to serve you better next time. So let's start with what most men were never taught, the real biological role of ejaculation as we age. Because it's not just about desire or release, it's about how your body maintains itself, clears toxins, and keeps your prostate, blood flow, and hormones in balance. Once you understand what's actually happening inside your body each time you ejaculate, everything else in this conversation starts to make a lot more sense. 1. The truth about ejaculation and the aging male body. When I first started practicing medicine, I noticed something strange. Many of my older male patients would come in with concerns about their prostate, their energy levels, their sex drive, but they'd hesitate before talking about ejaculation. And when they finally did, it was often in a whisper, with a mix of shame and confusion in their eyes. They weren't sure if they were doing something harmful or if it was even necessary anymore. But here's the truth I want every man over 60 to hear. Ejaculation is not a dirty habit or a youthful indulgence. It's a vital, natural process your body was designed to perform, even in your later years. As we age, blood flow to the pelvic region decreases, testosterone levels drop, and inflammation becomes more common. These changes directly affect the prostate, which can enlarge, become irritated, or simply function less efficiently. What most men don't realize is that regular ejaculation actually helps counteract these problems. It improves circulation, releases built-up pressure in the prostate, and may even help flush out inflammatory substances. Think of it like running water through a pipe. If the flow stops for too long, things stagnate. On top of that, ejaculation triggers the release of powerful chemicals in the brain and body, like dopamine, oxytocin, and nitric oxide, which can lower stress, promote better sleep, and support cardiovascular health. It's not just about sexual gratification. It's about keeping your internal systems running smoothly, just like you tune up a car that's been through a few 100,000 miles. And yet, despite all this, there's still one number that catches everyone's attention: 21 times a month. Where did that come from? And is there really a connection between ejaculation frequency and prostate cancer risk? What you're about to hear next might surprise you, and even change the way you think about your own body. 2. Let's talk about that 21 times per month study. I still remember the first time I read that number in a medical journal, 21 times a month. It sounded like a joke at first. I mean, who's counting? But the data was real. A team of Harvard researchers had tracked over 31,000 men for nearly 2 decades, studying their health outcomes, habits, and risk factors. One of the most striking patterns they found was that men who ejaculated at least 21 times a month had a significantly lower risk, around 33% of developing prostate cancer compared to men who ejaculated just 4 to 7 times a month. Now, I'm not telling you to set up a calendar or turn it into a race. That's not what this is about. What that study tells us is that regular ejaculation appears to play a protective role in prostate health. It might help clear the ducts, reduce inflammation, and prevent the buildup of harmful substances in the gland. And more than anything, it confirms what I've seen in my own practice. The men who stay connected to their sexual health, in whatever form that takes, often report feeling better across the board. More relaxed, more focused, more alive. I've had patients who were skeptical at first, men who hadn't even thought about sex or release in years. But once they gave themselves permission to re-engage with that part of their body, something shifted. Their confidence returned, their sleep improved, they felt more in control, and sometimes even their lab numbers improved. Still, I know what you might be thinking: is more always better? Can frequent ejaculation ever become harmful or even counterproductive? It's a fair question, and it's one we need to answer clearly, because while the benefits are real, there's another side to this coin, and understanding it could save you from feeling drained, foggy, or worse. Let's dig into that next. 3. The emotional weight of shame and silence. One of the hardest things I've seen as a doctor isn't the illness itself, it's the silence that surrounds it. I can't tell you how many men over 60 have come into my office quietly struggling with the weight of shame. They'll talk about their cholesterol, their knees, even their memory. But when it comes to sex, they pause, look down, change the subject. Some of them haven't been intimate in years. Not because they don't want to, but because somewhere along the way, they were told it wasn't appropriate anymore, that their desires were wrong, that self-pleasure was childish or selfish or sinful. These beliefs don't just fade with time, they settle into the body. They create tension, guilt, and even fear around something that was once natural and healthy. I remember one man, 72 years old, a retired firefighter, who told me he felt embarrassed to even ask if it was okay to masturbate. He'd been married, lost his wife, and now found himself alone, still feeling the need for release, for touch, for connection. He thought something was wrong with him, but when we talked openly and I reassured him there was nothing wrong at all, you could see the weight lift right off his shoulders. His body relaxed. His voice changed. This shame, it's not just emotional. It creates real physiological stress. It raises cortisol. It constricts blood flow. It affects sleep and mood. And worst of all, it keeps men from experiencing the very thing that could help them heal. But healing isn't just about giving yourself permission. It's about knowing how to care for your body with intention. Because yes, there is a line. Too much of a good thing, done the wrong way, can leave you feeling more depleted than restored. And understanding that line is exactly where we're headed next. 4. So, is there such a thing as too much? It's a fair question, and one I hear often, usually asked with a nervous laugh or half-joking tone, like someone testing the waters to see if it's safe to be honest. Doc, am I doing this too much? And my answer, like so many things in medicine, is it depends. Ejaculation in itself is not harmful. In fact, as we've already talked about, it can be remarkably beneficial. But when it becomes compulsive, when it's used as an escape or a way to avoid uncomfortable feelings, or when it starts replacing real connection and awareness, that's when problems start to show up. Some men tell me they feel tired afterward, foggy, emotionally flat. Others report that they're chasing a release that doesn't quite satisfy. It's like eating fast food when what you really need is a nourishing meal. The act itself isn't bad, but the way it's done and the frequency can either restore your energy or drain it. It's not just about how much you do it, it's about how mindfully you do it. Are you present with your body? Are you listening to your energy levels? Are you giving yourself space to rest, to recover, to feel something deeper than just a quick fix? Over time, I found that men who learn to approach ejaculation not just as a release, but as a form of self-care, begin to shift. They sleep better. Their minds calm down, their confidence returns, and they feel more in tune with what their body truly needs, not just sexually, but emotionally and physically. But this brings up a question I get all the time, especially from men over 60. So, Doc, how often should I be doing this? That's where it gets personal, and that's exactly where we're going next. 5. How often should men over 60 ejaculate? This is one of the most common questions I get from my patients, and I get it. At a certain point in life, your relationship with your body changes. You're not operating on the same rhythm you had in your 20s or even your 40s. Energy feels different. Desire comes in waves, and somewhere along the line, many men start wondering, what's normal now? What's healthy? How much is too much or too little? The truth is, there's no universal number. Every man is different. Some feel best with release every couple of days. Others are fine once a week. But in my experience, both from clinical work and listening to what men report back, a sweet spot for most men over 60 tends to fall somewhere between 2 to 4 times a week. That's enough to support prostate health, reduce stress, keep hormones circulating, and maintain blood flow without leaving you feeling drained or disconnected. What matters even more than frequency is rhythm. Just like sleep, digestion, or exercise, your body benefits from consistency. It doesn't mean you need a schedule, but it does mean tuning into your body's cues. If you're feeling irritable, tense, or restless, a gentle release might calm your system. If you're feeling low energy or foggy, it could be time to pause and restore before jumping back in. One of my patients, Mark, 67, told me he started tracking how he felt after each release. Not obsessively, just noting energy, sleep, and mood. Within a few weeks, he found his own rhythm, and the difference was night and day. His wife even noticed. Sometimes the answer isn't more or less, it's just right for you. But here's where things get even more interesting, because when a man finds that rhythm, something starts to shift, not just in the bedroom, but in the entire body. And what happens inside the prostate during this time is something most men have never been told. Let's take a look. 6. What happens to your prostate when you get this right? When a man finds the right rhythm, not just how often he ejaculates, but how he approaches it, something remarkable begins to happen inside his body. And I've seen it firsthand. Men in their late 60s and 70s who came to me worried about frequent urination, poor flow, or that nagging pressure in the lower abdomen, suddenly began reporting relief. Not overnight, but steadily, quietly, their symptoms started to ease. You see, the prostate is a living gland, and like any part of the body, it responds to use. Gentle, regular release helps reduce congestion. It helps flush fluid, lower inflammation, and improve circulation to an area that's often neglected. It's like a muscle. If it stays idle too long, it stiffens. It becomes reactive. It swells. But when cared for with consistency, it softens. It functions better. And for many men, that means fewer late-night bathroom trips, less urgency, and more confidence in daily life. I think of a patient named Harold. He was 73, had tried every supplement on the shelf, and still couldn't sleep more than 3 hours without waking to pee. After a few months of practicing a healthy release routine, along with breathing exercises and some dietary shifts, he looked at me and said, "Doc, it's like someone gave me back my nights." That moment stuck with me because it wasn't just about his prostate, it was about reclaiming his quality of life. When you treat your sexual health as part of your whole body health, everything shifts. Not just function, but how you feel. And yet there's one barrier still holding many men back, a force more powerful than biology or habit, one that shaped the way we see ourselves for generations. Let's finally talk about it. 7. Cultural myths that keep men silent. Some of the deepest damage I've seen in men's health doesn't come from disease, it comes from silence. From the myths we grew up believing, from the unspoken rules that shaped how we saw ourselves as men. Rules like real men don't talk about their feelings, or sex is only for the young, or if you're over 60, you should just accept slowing down. These messages seep into the background of our lives. We don't always hear them directly, but we carry them. In the way we downplay our needs, in the way we avoid talking about pleasure, in the way we convince ourselves that we're being selfish if we focus on our own health and happiness. And the truth is, it's taken a toll. I've met strong, capable men who built businesses, raised families, served their communities, and yet they feel ashamed to admit they miss intimacy, or that they still have desire, or that they want to understand their bodies instead of ignoring them. But here's what I want you to hear today. There is nothing weak about caring for yourself. There is nothing shameful about wanting to feel connected, vital, and alive. At any age, the more we speak openly, the more power we reclaim. Because sexual health isn't separate from your well-being. It's deeply connected to your confidence, your circulation, your sleep, even your longevity. We've been taught to hide this part of ourselves. But what if instead we started seeing it as a key to staying strong? Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Because now that you've heard the truth, the science, the stories, the shifts that can happen, the real question becomes, how do you put this into action, and how do you make sure your next chapter is your strongest one yet? Let's talk about that now. 8. Conclusion. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this conversation, it's that your body is still working with you, not against you. You've heard the science. Regular ejaculation supports prostate health, lowers inflammation, improves circulation, and may even reduce your risk of prostate cancer. But beyond the data, what really matters is how you feel, whether it's rediscovering intimacy, reclaiming your energy, or just feeling at home in your skin again. This is about more than biology. It's about living fully. You're not broken, you're not too old, and you're not alone. The shame, the myths, the silence, they've held too many men back for too long. But now you know better. You know that healthy sexual expression isn't something to be hidden or feared. It's something to be honored, cared for, and understood. Over my 30 years working with men, I've seen this simple shift from silence to awareness change lives. Sleep improves, confidence returns, even relationships start to heal, and it all starts with a single question. Are you ready to treat this part of your health with the same care you give to your heart, your joints, or your mind? If so, I'll be here for you, to guide you, support you, and walk this journey with you, one honest step at a time.